Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the channel RVCCISinfo, where faculty representatives from Rock Valley College's Computers and Information Systems Department talks to you, our community at large, about things roughly having to do with computers and information systems. Joining me, as always, are Stephanie and Jim. Howdy, everybody. I'm Eric, and today we're going to talk about interview horror stories. You're not the only one who has been in an uncomfortable or a totally broken interview, and I know we've been on both ends of that interview process. So as the interviewee and the interviewer, and we have seen some real doozies. So these are the stories of a couple of real doozies. Since this is the time of year, people are starting to hope to find work once they get a certificate or a degree. So who wants to start us off? Interview horror stories.
Go I will. And it was when I was the interviewee. Okay. So, and I always tell my students, even if you don't get the job, the process of going through an interview, that's part of the experience, right?
Right.
You learn from interviews and how to conduct yourself. And I was applying for a job, and this is back since I'm older than dirt. It was usually one-on-one interviews. But this particular job, it was a team of people. And you're nervous. You're always nervous, so sweating under the armpits and all that. But I remember not being quite as prepared as I should have been. They always say you need to think about the questions you think they're going to ask you. And I did. And I thought, I can wing this. I can just go and do it. I'd be my charming self. It did not go well. First of all, the team of people threw me off. There's like 5 or 6 people at a table and you're sitting on the other end. So that was intimidating. But then some of the questions I thought came out of, even if they came out of left field, I was like, the whole thing where you're just lost my train of thought. It was not a pretty sight. It was like going down in flames, and you as you're realizing it as you're sitting in that chair, it's not a pretty sight.
Jim's going down. He's like, Foxtrot, Unicorn, Charlie, Kilo. I repeat, Foxtrot, Unicorn, Charlie.
Yeah, it was bad. It was not pretty. I didn't get the job. Surprise.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You probably didn't want the job.
Yeah, like, please never call me back.
It was a good experience. Yeah. It painful.
Yeah.
But
I feel like I was on the other end of one of those. So I was on
it
a
you
hiring
guys interviewing me?
Well, it was just probably like 10 years ago, so maybe not. And so we had a group that was hiring for an IT position, and a gentleman walked in and he was answering questions, and you could tell he was struggling with the questions. And after a while, he's like, and he puts down the job description that we gave him and says something along the lines like, I'm out. And he's like, this job is just not for me. And he walked out, and we're all like, jaws open. Like, what the heck? Oh my God, what just happened? And I, honestly, I can't even remember his name or what he looked like. So that's probably good for him if he ever interviewed for something again, but doesn't look too good to the interviewers. But it is nerve-wracking. I'm guessing it was probably his first time where I think there was 6 of us. And we were pretty intense. And you know what it is the other thing is in these interviews that I'm in, you ask the question, and I always try and make sure I'm like looking at the person, but everybody's furiously writing things down, and
not looking.
No, and it's so frustrating. And honestly, what's more frustrating to me are phone interviews. I hate those even worse.
I can't stand. Being on the other side where I was the interviewer, and through phone interviews, that's a bad way to try to interview people.
Yes.
I actually, so just the phone interview part reminds me, I took my RVC interview while I was at work. We were interviewing ourselves. So I couldn't, I would usually prefer not to have been in my office at work. And I actually remember hanging up with you guys and going, and my staff was outside, and David, like my number two, was like, so how did it go? And I'm like, one woman hated me hard. I ain't getting that job.
I thought about the same thing. The same thing happened to me. I'm like, who's mumbling in the background? Just like,
so I was shocked when you guys called back. I was like, are you sure? And it was, I mean, and it's a phone interview, so sometimes you really can't read everybody for their inflection and things like that. It can be tough.
yeah,
but
that's what it was. Is I just didn't read the room like I normally did.
Yeah, that's tough on both sides, I think. You know?
yeah, I think, yeah, you can, some of those are like, it's not nerve-wracking. What's the word I'm looking for? Is exhausting. That's the word. Where when you hang up, you're like, damn, I need coffee just to keep going about my day.
No, I'm like, there's no way they're calling me back. But look at us now, Eric.
I know.
Yeah. Oh.
So I will say, so if, and I am more than happy to be the one who had 2 or more bad experiences here. So I've done a lot of interviewing and interviewing. And one thing I tell, actually, during like my Web 102 class or Web 101 classes and CIS 102 and a couple of the other ones, I try to bake in like interview and resume writing, actually, for everybody or everyone watching. That's our total count of viewers. RVC does put on, in times where we're actually at RVC, resume, interview, job seeking seminars. Everybody needs to keep that up as a skill, ourselves included. And the very first time I had, for like a real stand-up big boy, like, holy shit, they didn't make a mistake on the salary job. I breezed through the first 2 group interviews, because those were with, the groups of individuals I would be working with. And actually those were fun. Honestly, I was surprised at how, like, holy cats, this isn't so bad. And the very last one was a one-on-one with the director, who, it was clear we were the differentest kinds of people. And like, in that whole phase of the interview, the whole interview that day lasted 6 hours, which I felt was like way too long, because I was starving.
Yeah, there's no reason for that.
Yeah, I was interviewing while I was digesting my inner child. It was making a lot of noise. It was not good. But within minutes, like 2 minutes, I was like, oh shoot, this can't go particularly well. And the other individual hated me so bad that I was on my way to the car afterwards, and I actually got a phone call from that individual who was like, no matter what my staff says, we're not hiring you. Thank you for your time. And then literally click.
That's a good thing for you,
though. Yeah, that one.
My HR has taken over.
Yeah. And so I know that I'm kind of a jackwagon, and I try to remember now, more than I did maybe at that time, to not be the full jackwagon I can be on an interview. But like, at the very least, there was no question in my mind. Number one, are they going to call me back? Because no, they're not going to call me back. And number two, why did I not get the job was perfectly clear to me. It was not my skill set. It was the personal fit. And so I did appreciate the call, honestly, because it was like, well, that sucked, but at least it was like, a Band-Aid that comes off quick, where you're like, but what the result is. Yeah, Jim?
But, well, I was thinking of, though, like our students, a lot of them, when they interview, it might be their first IT job. So they want to kind of just take anything they can get, let's say. I remember being like that, where I thought, I got to get a job. But, maybe after they get some experience, conversely, Eric, maybe this person didn't like you, but on the other hand, that might not have been a good fit for you as well.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
So you want to, once you get experience, all of our IT students and they go to look for another job, you maybe want to, you're interviewing the company as well as they
Yeah,
are.
yeah. And some of the times I think about, the near miss, like, thank God I didn't take that job, because how miserable would I have been? So
Right,
you're
right.
absolutely right. It's your opportunity to interview them too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend that she was applying for like HR director jobs and VP jobs all over the place. And she actually did not like the way one place did their business. And it was a pretty high dollar job. And she's like, you know what? Just take my resume out of the batch.
Mhm.
And I'm like, who does that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought, no, that makes total sense. Why
Right.
would she want to work there?
Hmm.
So
There you go. Older and wiser advice from people who are potentially jackwagons or had people drop out. So leave us a comment below. Let us know about your worst interview, either story from either side of the table on the asking or the getting asked side. While you're down there, while you're leaving us rather, a comment, please feel free to like and subscribe. And to hit that bell button to be notified of future content as it becomes available. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at RVCCISInfo on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Anchor.fm. So, on behalf of Stephanie and Jim, myself, Eric, and the rest of the Rock Valley College community, stay safe and stay sane out there, everybody.